Hello, good evening. Can you hear me? No. Hello. Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
teacher.
Okay. Okay, thank you. So we are waiting for more people, but I don't know. Let's wait 2 minutes and then we start, okay?
Okay.
perfect.
Okay. We have Rafael, Sara, Carolina. Okay, I think that we have enough participants to start the class. So welcome to this third class on teaching practicum. How was your week? How was your
Very
week?
good.
Very good? Okay, I have to tell you that I devoted my time to watch your videos and I gave you a piece of feedback. Could you read it?
Yes, teacher.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, teacher.
Okay, do you have any comment or any question about the feedback?
I have a question, teacher.
Yeah.
Um, you wrote that my students were what do you put?
False beginners.
Face. Yes, I didn't understand the meaning of this.
False beginners is a false beginner is a person who doesn't know almost
Anything.
anything about English.
Yes, but
That's
they
a false
needed it
beginner.
as quickly. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay.
So that's the kind of people you have. And I think that you
Yes.
and maybe John, you are the only ones who have false beginners in the level because the others are beginners or maybe basic ones, right? Elementary, but they are not false beginners. Okay, do you have any other question about the feedback?
Yes, teacher. It means that it's okay if I continue to give them the first aid one level. or
Yeah.
I need to be more, to make it more slowly?
No, actually, I think that is okay. I am not saying that it is incorrect because you are, sorry, I was reading about Carolina. Carolina's coming here. Teacher, I'm sorry, I don't know if you talked to me. My microphone was on mute. No, I just said hello. Uh, no, it depends. Okay, you have to analyze your context, your students, and what they need in order to start working or to continue working because you have started working. I think that the activities that you developed were okay, but as I wrote to everyone, because it was to everyone, we have to start thinking on a more communicative classroom. It means, okay, it is false beginners or it is basic ones, but how are they going to communicate? I know and I recognize that some of you did exercises in order they to communicate, and it is good. But then I have another question. I wrote this question to a couple of you. So, is your class teacher center or student center? What do you think? Is your class teacher center or student center?
It has to be student center.
It has to be,
Because
but
they're like,
yeah, it has to be, but I am not talking about the must. Or it has to be, but
about
how
what we're
was your
doing.
class?
Mm-hmm.
How was your class? Student center or teacher center? What do you think? When you plan your class, who do you think about?
Yes, about the students' needs.
Mm-hmm. Sure? Okay, and that's good. Because your classes must continue being student center. But when you have a class based on the students or student center, you have to be not the center of the class. Okay? I mean, it doesn't mean that you don't have the control of the class or that you cannot be in the front of them, but it means that you have to provide the opportunities to students to be the center of the class within the activities. Within the activities. Some of the activities that I could watch in your videos, they were.
Teacher, sorry, teacher. Is that your connection is starting to to becoming slow and intermittent sometimes? I think it is because you activate your
Yes,
webcam.
I'm going to. Okay, you are not going to have the privilege of seeing my face anymore. So,
Oh yes,
you know it is a privilege, but okay.
yes it is.
At least,
Don't
okay. At
worry,
least, sorry.
we all do for the same reason.
Okay, right. Don't worry about that. I activated my camera for a few minutes just because it's like a protocol in these kind of classes that we activate the camera to say hello and those kind of things, and then we can close it. Okay. In
Oh
this kind
yes.
of virtual
Okay,
Great.
class.
no worries, teacher. Thank you.
It's
Mhm.
very good. Thank you.
Okay, and now I was telling you about the class centered on the students, and I wrote to everyone to focus a little more on TBL, right? On task-based learning. Do you
Yes.
do you remember what are the principles of task-based learning, or what the principles of
Actually,
task? Yeah.
I don't know. I remember that actually on that is an approach, right?
Hmm.
Um, the students, we have to make them to like speak. They have to develop tasks, but like related to their experience. Like it has to be meaningful for them, not just like write or say whatever I want them to say. It has to be meaningful for the students.
What I understand is that we need to put them into the context, for example, to open any situation and to ask for them what they need to do, what they need to learn to solve the situation, and they start to give different ideas to solve the situation. So we construct the class with them in the class. Is what I understand.
Yeah, these are some of the principles, and those are some of the things that you have to take into account. As Carolina was saying, it is something that you provide them for communicate, not only for speaking, Carolina, because remember that
Uh-huh.
communication could be also written.
Writing. Yeah.
Mhm. So
Okay.
in a writing exercise, you can perceive the fulfillment of a task. But if it is a task, it demands that you plan little or small scale tasks in order they to start like connecting ideas. Okay, I could see in some of your classes that you do some tasks, but I don't know if you prepare or if you planned a final task to let them complete along the process. Yeah, for that reason, I also wrote to some of you to think of the final task that you want, the final task that you want your students to fulfill. For example, if it is
Sorry, teacher, I
speaking
didn't understand the last part because it's intermittent.
again,
Not
the
for me.
Not for me.
conclusion.
These
Okay,
graphics.
it's Rafa's sign. Okay, Rafael, you have problems with your sign today. Okay, but don't worry. Anyway, Rafael, if you cannot listen, just ask me. I can repeat. Okay? I forget what else I was saying. Could you please remind
Teacher,
me? Yes, Tanya.
I don't know. I think that the things that I need to do for the next class is do more dynamic activities, maybe.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. It is not a matter of dynamism, because I could see that you are very dynamic. I could see
Yeah.
some people dancing, some people singing. Yeah, this is dynamic, and I could see that.
Yeah.
It is a
Okay.
matter of thinking of what is the final communicative task you want your students to do. In your case,
Okay.
Tanya, I think that it is going to be, I don't know, a little. It is not complicated because I could see that your students are good at English,
Yeah,
although they
it
are
is a bilingual school.
exactly, although they are in preschool or transition, I think, kindergarten.
Kinder, pre-kinder, and transition. Yeah.
Exactly. So, but they are good at English. So,
Yeah.
I would like you to think on an activity that challenge them a little bit more, but of course, not an activity for a high schooler or a primary student. An activity that they can
Yeah.
fulfill, but in which they can communicate something because they are good at English, right?
Okay. To develop
Something.
more the speaking, maybe.
Yeah, and a class in
Okay.
which you center the attention on what your students are doing, because I could see your
Okay.
class and you are the teacher. That's evident.
Okay.
But they are
Teacher,
children.
Okay.
They are children, Tanya.
sorry.
Remember that. Okay.
Okay. Yes,
Okay.
teacher.
Sarah.
Thank you.
Uh, Good evening, everyone.
Good
Teacher.
evening.
And teacher, I have two questions. The first is about my case. You recommend me to do the next class according with the TBL or the other um, strategy? But I have a question. For example, in my case, the last class was about living on a farm. Do you remember?
Yeah.
Okay, my intention or my objects were that my students learn about the vocabulary on a farm, structures, but in order that they share community skills about how can live in a farm or what activities they can do in the farm, on a farm, or another another activity. So my object or my goal, the final, is that they create on a postcard or on a history or something like that, in where they explain what activities they can do in the on the farm, or what are the possibilities to yes, it's something. It's basically an activities on a farm. Okay, so I don't know how to build another way to do that. And the second question is about the activity for this week. The reflection. Could you show us in the screen, please, how to feel this reflection? For example, I have a dog according to your reflection in my case. So I have to, in the lesson plan, I have to add the TBL in the part of the methodology. Is right? It's okay?
I'm going to answer your two questions. First, why do you think you have to do things differently? The point is that I watched one class, your class, and I was decontextualized in the first place. I didn't know that you wanted to do that at the end. That could be considered a final task. The thing is that you have to provide, okay, and you are doing it, the activities, the little activities, in order to get the vocabulary and the structures and the competence to do that final task, and that's good. Okay, that's TBL. But as I didn't know the plan, I couldn't perceive it. So in the lesson plan that you are going to do, you have to pay attention to what is your final goal, your final communicative goal, and what are the goals and the objectives that you are going to pursue in order to reach that final goal with your students. But in terms of communication, okay?
Okay.
That's the point. Additionally, you have to think about the level they have. So your task cannot be it has to be according to the level they have. So if you can see that they can do the things that you are planning, you do it. But if you can see that they cannot do it, it is going to be forced. So I prefer you to think of another kind of a task, final task, in which they can do something, at least something, right?
Okay.
Let's see the, okay, meanwhile, do you have any other question? I'm going to open the file that you were mentioned. So,
Yes, teacher, because I have a question related with the form, with the first part.
Yep. Let me see, because I cannot, okay, I didn't upload it. What? Oh, it is not allowing me to enter to the platform. I don't know what happens. It says that it is full and I cannot enter.
Teacher, I just tried to do the same thing and it says the exactly
Ah,
the same word.
yes,
Me
teacher.
too, teacher. It's a problem
This
with
is
the
a
server.
problem with it. Yes.
With the server, maybe. I think so.
Maybe they are
Oh,
fixing it.
maybe.
I was going to do the same thing that you asking about to open the file, but it says the same thing. That is a
Teacher,
bit
sorry.
not a problem.
Maybe someone downloaded.
Sorry?
Maybe I have someone downloaded so we can share it. No?
Okay, if you want, if you can, please open it and share the screen, please, because I don't
Exactly.
have it. I don't have it in this computer. I thought that I have it, but I don't. Ah, yes, I know where it is.
Noemi, if you want it, I have it like already. I don't know if. Oh, okay.
Okay,
Rafael.
thank you.
Rafael
Rafael did
won.
it. Yeah.
Rafael
Great.
won.
Can you see it?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so we have the first part. So please, Rafael, could you please scroll it down a little bit more?
Yeah, teacher.
Share it
Where?
complete.
Okay, there. So we have here the first point. This says, use your teacher's comments. This is one of the, it is just one, okay? Don't pay attention to me all the time. About the last lesson that you video recorded to plan how to improve your next lesson. Write only write actions only for the aspects that need improvement according to your teacher's feedback. But it is not only about my feedback, it is also about you. I suppose that you watch yourself in action, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah? And what do you perceive from your class?
Horrible.
Who says
Yes.
that? Who says horrible? I
Me.
A
cannot
lot
see.
of mistakes here.
I mean, it's because you see a lot of things that you can control during the class, or you see a lot of things that during the class you don't see.
Mhm.
That's it. That's what is so kind of annoying when you watch yourself again giving the class.
That's true.
Because you see that kid who is constantly talking, or you see that kid checking their phone, you see that kid eating. Actually, I had some kid that I wanted to, well, let's skip that part. But he
Share it.
opened the book in front of the camera, like, okay, I mean, really? It's just a camera, and there was some point they began to stand up out of the blue and stand up in front of the camera and showing their books and mocking around. Really? I didn't
Like a
see that the
movie.
first time. Yeah, like,
Yeah.
hey, we're going to be famous. I don't know what happened. Or
Yeah,
saying
I know
dated
that
things.
that is kind of annoying because
Hmm.
I understand what you mean, but it has to do also with classroom management. Let me tell you, Luis Carlos, but classroom management is not only about control and order, okay?
Also,
That
yeah, the sitting arrangement and
it is, yeah, it has to do with that also, but classroom management from my perspective is also more about how to engage your students to the class and how you
that's
uh-huh.
I'm fighting with that because, well, it's just, well, I think I've told this story many times, but they are not used to have an English teacher because the previous teacher was almost absent. He was like, okay, open the book, do exercise five on
Oh.
page 86, and
Mm-hmm.
that's it. When you show me, I give you a five. She
Yeah.
didn't care about copying, about then understanding. No.
Okay.
So it's difficult to get their attention sometimes. Actually, well, lately I've been recording videos on my own to show them on the on the class in the classroom and everything, but it's still difficult. so
Yes, it
very
is.
difficult. I'm fighting with their interest. It's
And it is
absurd.
going to happen all the time. Okay, it is not because
Mm,
it is not just because you are going to get the diploma that everything is going to be good and magically everything is going to be perfect in your class. It is going to
no,
happen all
I
the time.
understand you.
So those are things that you cannot control, but there are other things that you can control. In the case of
Yeah.
discipline and order and organization, maybe sometimes it is a little bit messy, but we have to think that we are having an English class, and not everything has to do as control as we want. Okay,
Yes,
so
absolutely.
that's it. So try to relax a little bit because I felt that
Oh
you
my
are a
goodness.
little
I
annoyed with annoyed with your
No,
story.
I'm super annoyed with it, specifically with with one group because I for them I created a Google Classroom. I uploaded files. I work on verbs. I wrote songs. I did a lot of things. They didn't even look at the board. They were
Okay,
laying in their desks all the
okay,
time.
okay, but
No,
don't worry
no
about
matter
it.
if I broke a song, if I stood up on my hands, they don't care.
Okay, but now let's think.
Oh, sorry.
Don't think about them. Yes, they are important as well.
Yeah,
The
absolutely.
reaction is important, but let's think about the performance, the personal performance that you have in your class. So, what do you notice apart from your students? What do you notice on you? And this question is not for Luis Carlos only, but for everyone. Do you notice something in which you have to
But
work on?
but I want to answer. Well, I think I've been working on that. I mean, on trying to bring different variety of material to a class, and I think I've been improving that. Sometimes I think I lack it, like maybe a video or constantly bringing like a video game. Actually, my students are kind of sometimes surprised because never ever in their lives have they played nor Kahoot nor Plickers, and they say, "Teacher, how do you do that?" and and they use their phone, so they get really. But I cannot do that all classes.
Okay. Any
So
other? Any other comment? No one else?
sorry, can you repeat the question?
If you have noticed from your video that you have to work on something specifically.
On
Well,
the
in,
self-consciousness.
teacher,
Okay,
in
who's going to go?
vocabulary for sure.
Noemi says vocabulary.
Pronunciation.
Mm-hmm.
teacher,
Okay.
Teacher, maybe I
mm,
need to present the vocabulary in a different way.
And a physical condition, Wilton. Your
Tell
physical
me,
your physical condition, Wilton, because you you couldn't breathe. You couldn't. Sorry, it was very hilarious for me to see you singing and then you were out of breath. Okay. Sorry, Wilton. But you have to work out a little bit more. It was a joke.
okay.
Okay. Was kidding. Cesar, you were talking.
yes, I didn't watch the video, um, but I recognize or I really accept that I really need to improve in strategies and when teaching, um, just to stop trying to lead all the activities by myself or doing it is like not always teacher center, but I would like to do it more like a student center. And the thing is that I've never probably the thing is that I don't have self confidence on what I'm doing and the activities that I propose, or sometimes I don't trust on the abilities of my students.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the way that sometimes it's taught me to do something or propose an activity.
Yeah, sometimes it happens. It has
Yeah,
happened to
yeah,
me as
yes.
well.
Yes, or sometimes, or as we said in another class or in previous session, that sometimes we plan more than we could,
Yeah,
or
we can
sometimes
cover,
it's
huh?
less than we must. So that's lots of the problems, and also there are a lot of things that affects our class environment or our classes. For example, you have a perfect class with a perfect activities, but if the student doesn't want to do anything, or they're not in the mood, so your class is going to sink.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the thing. Or sometimes you prepare a very silly activity or something that is not that amazing, and the students make it with the participation incredible, and they transform that little thing in a huge production or in a huge activity. And that things in that moment, you as a teacher, you think like, okay, so how can I create this kind of environment in my classes if I prepare it as I really think that it won't gonna work, but it doesn't. And when I think that it doesn't going to work, it works perfectly. So the class is very variable
Yeah.
every time.
Yeah, but this
That's
is
the thing, teacher.
those are the kind of things that you have to think about and to start reflecting upon. Okay? It is not about the perfect strategy or the perfect method that you are going to use, but how do you relate and how do you say this one, approach to your students, and how your students approach. Oh my
I
God.
can hear the teacher.
Yes, I know.
Me
Me too.
too.
Probably it's a
Neither
Neither,
can
very good
I.
connection.
Yeah.
neither me.
Now it's me. Can you listen to me?
No, sir. Is
No, teacher.
Not yet?
You sound like a
I'm
robot.
afraid I can
Okay.
listen to you.
Nom nom.
Sound like a Robocop.
Yeah, it sounds like a robot.
Okay, what about now?
Person.
Sorry, teacher?
Not yet,
Is the same? Oh my goodness. Wait a moment.
sir.
Okay, what about now?
It's a little bit better.
A little bit, a little bit.
But
Oh,
just a little.
just a little bit.
I
Okay.
wouldn't get too excited.
We can try it.
But we'll keep our hopes up.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was telling you that this is about those kind of reflections about of what you did or of what you do in your class. What must be included also in here, not only about my comments, because I have only one perspective of the situation. I mean, as in the case of Sarah, I cannot see what you really want to do, right? So in this case, uh, more than an aspect that you need to improve, is an aspect that you want to work uh, like more, or that you want to, or that you feel that you are good as well. Okay, don't focus only on the bad side, focus on the good side as well in this part. When it says communicative objective, it means, was your class appropriated for your students to do something communicative? Could they could they communicate in a proper way, depending on the level? So what was your communicative objective for the class? and how could you improve that aspect? Okay, if it was good,
Teacher,
write the good part. Yes, Carolina.
I have a question. When it says actions that I will do next lesson to improve, is like a specific activities or yeah, exercises that I'm going to do to
No,
improve that one, or is like a general idea of what I'm going to do?
better for me. Better like a general idea.
Yeah,
Okay.
because in the lesson plan we are going to write like I don't know, like
Yes,
what I'm going
activities.
to do.
Mhm.
Okay, okay.
Right. In this
Mm-hmm.
case, for example, in the second one, the warm up and the wrap up activities, the class opening and closure. Do you think it was appropriate for you, for example, or appropriate for your students? Was it appropriate for the level your students have? Was it appropriate for the kind of activities you wanted to develop? Remember the last class we talked about engagement. So was this warm up an engagement activity and preparation for the rest of the class? So those are the things that you have to think about, right, in this aspect. And the closure. Was the closure meaningful for your learners, sorry? Do you think that they could you, from the closure, understand if they have uh, learned something in relation to your class beyond farther from the vocabulary? Okay, memorization of vocabulary is not communication. It's just part, right? This is
Yes, that
very
happens
important.
to me.
Most of you focus on vocabulary, but not on communication. Okay, that's
Mm-hmm.
why I said, please, a more communicative task-based learning is going to help you, so on and so forth. Okay, so think about that. It's just a part. Now it says methodology favored and its stages. So methodology has to do with the way that you approach to the knowledge and your student approach to the knowledge as well. So were they engaged in the part of a study? Could they practice what do you present or what you presented? And in the activation part, was it productive? Were there, I mean, could you see any production and elaboration from your students based on what they have learned and what they already know? So if you see it, if you saw it, good. But if you didn't, you have to think about that, right? So far, any question?
No,
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 sir.
teacher.
little bit. It's just that I don't know. Sometimes it's difficult to get them to, how do I say it? I think it's the first part. Well, I'm on engage. It's just that I feel their lack of interest doesn't let them like focus on what we're doing. So when we get to engage part, usually before I get to engage part, I like to do a little drilling. Like I start asking them questions
That is an
or
engagement.
hmm?
That's an engagement activity, man.
Yeah, but
Asking
I mean,
questions to them is an engagement activity as well.
well, when I'm finishing the engagement part, I try to make more and more questions, so I get like a drilling, so they more or less get the idea of what structure are we using.
But don't
See,
focus on the structure. That's the
I
point.
know,
That is the part when
but
you lose your students. When you
that's
focus on
why
the structure, everything is
that's
going
why
to
I try
go.
to not keep so much time on it. But it's just that when it's just I don't know how to explain. I feel their lack of interest, but they don't like to be paying attention. They focus on other thing, and nothing likes them. So when I get to the study part, and I want like to ask some exercise, ask for some examples from them, or we continue asking some questions. nobody. I mean, it's always the same 5, 6 people that raise their hand. The other people won't.
Okay, but don't discourage
But
about that, okay? The thing is
so
that
I
you
must
have to
take the list. If I wanted them to continue, please, teacher.
no to continue. I was
Okay.
I was saying that you don't have to discourage about that. Yeah, okay. As I told you, everything most of the times our labor most of the time I don't say always, but it is not as we expected, right? So, but we
But
have
I mean,
to start analyzing what is the problem, or how can I approach them. But something that you have to be realistic about is that no, you cannot engage everybody because your group is very big.
true.
Okay,
But
it is different. For example, uh, the group
the,
that Rafael
the
has,
mathematics.
Wilton, Sarah, those are groups that are small, and even Jaime
Well,
Fernando.
I'll tell you. For example, I give classes also on Saturdays, but I give those classes in the institute. So the kids I have in the morning, they get really engaged and we click very well. And I have a little less people, like 18 or 16 people, no more than that. And I mean, I think they go because they like it. I mean, it's an extra. They wake up on Saturday early and they go and they enjoy it. And it's awesome to work with. I wanted to record those classes, but it was just difficult to get the permission to record them. And the classes I have actually they lead the activity. I just give certain instruction and they keep asking questions. They produce the question, so I almost just supervise the activities they do.
Maybe that's
But
a good thing, you
the same
know.
course, the same course that I have in the afternoon, it, you have to push them for everything.
Yeah, but it is a matter of attitude. It's a matter of
But
many
they
things,
are,
many aspects that you have
but
to
they
value.
are a group. They're a group that you can push. But even if I push this group that I have at school, they won't produce anything. I mean, they like vocabulary, they like verbs, but I continually bring games and activities like to build up a little bit the vocabulary, but it's still no result. I mean, I haven't seen them. They improve. They have improved a little bit.
I don't know. I think that you have to be
Like to give
uh,
them more credit.
no, yeah, to give them to give more credit to your students. I think that they have learned something,
I'll try.
but not the way that you want. Okay.
Yeah,
Maybe.
I desperately want them to speak. That's it.
But it is not the point, man.
Yes, I know.
To have them speak is not. I mean, cannot be the final goal of an English language teaching class. Okay, it is not. Couldn't be. Although
Well,
it is a
this.
language class, the most important is that they learn something. Communication is part of that, but it is not the last goal. Okay, so at
Okay.
least they have learned something about from you. Okay, be sure about that.
Seeing it from that point of view, I think they just sometimes I focus too much on speaking, but I see they have. I mean, they have learned some strategies to understand what I say.
Yeah, you say
That's good. You just
that's
have
it.
to stop being so
You have,
negative.
you have exactly. You have to stop seeing the negative points. That's why I said to you in this reflection, don't see only the negative things. Pay attention to the positive things from your class
And
as
the
well.
first to say, the first they do, as always. Yeah, I'm a teacher too. I know how it is.
Okay. Okay. Right.
So, teacher, do we have to write about the things that we consider that we do it like well? We have to
Of
write it.
course. Why
We have to write
not?
something there.
Those are the most
Okay.
valuable things because those are your strengths. I'm
Okay.
going to tell you something, and it is going to be off the record. I think that I'm going to stop the recording.
Oh,
So
you
do you
really
think what
stop
do you
it.
think?
I will. I have a form that I think is really nice.
Hmm.
That is about how communicative is if your class is really being communicative. I think
Okay,
you
but
know.
What you can do is to share those kind of things in our
That's what I
class.
wanted to do.
Okay,
I'll do
right.
it right away, sir.
To see what can we do, but we are going to use this form because this is the formal one. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. No worries. I know. I know.
Okay.
Just I wanted to
Rafael,
check.
could you please scroll it down?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we have here another thing that it is classroom management and affective factors. And I want to remind you that, again, classroom management is not about control and discipline. Okay? And classroom management is not only about the seating arrangement. Classroom management is how you interact in your class in order to your students to approach to the language. Right? It is even more complex than just keeping the control of the class. It goes beyond that. Okay? Because sometimes you can have a perfect behaved classroom, but they are not going to learn anything. Yeah, they don't talk. They are not going to learn anything because you don't engage them. Okay? So classroom management has to do with this, with how you approach to them, how you really make them feel that English is not something difficult because that's the imaginary they have, or something boring, or something too structured, right? Because this is the way that we have learned: structure, structure, structure.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
But English is something that is something that we can use to make a lot of things. So that's why you have to think about this task and say, okay, they can do something. If it is a poster, a poster. If it is a postcard, but in which they can express themselves, right? This is another
Yes.
point that you have to think about, especially the ones who have small groups, like Sarah, Wilton, Jaime. You are working without the constraint of the school, right? This is one point. Noemi as well. You are working in a different situation from Cesar, for example, who is at school. Luis is at school. Carolina and Tania, you are at school. So you have the constraint of following the book, following the program, all of those kind of things. That is a constraint anyway. So if you don't have that constraint, you can be more, I don't want to use the word creative, but to think more on the population you have, right? To try to
Yes.
make the class more appealing for them.
Yes. I
Uh-huh.
sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was thinking, for example, if they have different interests. So, for example, one they are a soccer player, another is a lawyer, another is an accountant. So I was planning to make a class for each one of them to make them feel into their career because
Mm-hmm.
there is the interest of them.
Mm-hmm. That's good. And sometimes we forgot the interests they have, and the life they have, and the knowledge they have. So this has to be also, it has to do, sorry, also with classroom management and affective factors, right? Another important thing on affective factors is the way that you give feedback. Sometimes you are too negative, okay?
Mm-hmm.
They do
I,
something
I,
wrong. No, no,
I've,
no, 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 no. Eso no es
I've
así.
learned something. I worked on a school once, and and I had that problem. And once they say, okay, I mean, we get that he's not doing good, but what is something positive that students do? I
Mm-hmm.
say, okay, there must be something positive. You have to
No,
say
and
it first.
actually, when the student is making a mistake, you have to think of the way to show them how they can, I mean, understand the way it is to correct themselves. Because if you say no, 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 you stop all the processes they have, right? So they are
Always
like
let them
freeze.
finish.
Okay, they're freeze. Okay, so just tell me what do I have to do, and they are not going to think anymore. Okay, so this is another thing. So we have here then materials, class duration, teaching techniques, and teachers meta language. That's very interesting, the aspect of teacher meta language, because it is the language that you use. I could see in some of the classes that you use meta language that sometimes is useless for your students. They don't care if it is a communicative class, they don't care about verbs and adjectives, or they don't care about that. Okay.
No, it's difficult for them to.
Hmm. So think about the meta language. Watch your class again. See what happens in your class. And then when the second part, we have the lesson. So the lesson is for this coming week. Everything, this thing is for this Saturday, I think. Sunday. This Sunday. So you finish the lesson plan and you send the lesson plan. I'm going to try to check all the lesson plans and give you my feedback before your class.
Teacher, one
Yeah.
question.
Okay.
Sure, I have a
Is
question
it
on
possible that the lesson plan changes? I mean, I'm in a school and sometimes there's an event, there's something that happens. No, today we're going to do a presentation or the thing that, ¿cómo se dice eso? That's la izada de bandera and that stuff. So sometimes classes move a little bit. Is there any problem if something changes and then the class doesn't correspond to the lesson plan we showed you?
Yes. I didn't understand your point, because if the class is going to be moved, you are going to record the class anyway. I mean, you are going to do the class anyway,
Ah, okay. Well, yes.
right?
Teacher, I
So
have a question
I was
about
thinking, sir, yes,
the
Rafael.
plan.
Yeah.
Could you please? Well, it's just about like the content I would like to mention into the lesson plan. For example, do we have to send you the appendices, the different activities we're going to, or just to like to write
I would
like the
like to see them.
intentions and
I would like to see them.
everything. For example, if you're going to use a listening, so we have to send you like in a
No,
folder or
not
something
the
like that.
recording. No, the recording. Don't send the recording. I'm not going
Ah,
to.
okay. But the for example the cheats or yes,
The word
The
sheets.
flashcards.
No, not
yes,
necessarily the
the
flashcards.
material.
The word sheets, basically.
Okay, yes.
Oh. Or the videos, you
Okay,
just
thank you.
reference the video and that's it. Okay.
Oh
Okay.
yes, thank you.
Any other question?
So we
And
need
do we have to specify yes
Specify.
the time, because for example how long is going to be any activity,
It
for
is
example 10
just as a
minutes,
reference.
20.
As a reference. You have to do it, but as a reference, in order you to know how much time you are going to spend in each one of the activities. But it is not
Oh
a
yes.
must. It is not something that I'm going to check. You didn't complete the time. No, it is not. It is not going to
Oh
happen.
yes.
Okay.
Oh
But
yes,
as a
thank
reference
you,
for
teacher.
you, it is going to be. It is going to be useful.
Not for you.
No, I don't. I know. I don't pay attention to those things.
You don't care that. Okay, thank you. Not too
Noemi?
strict.
No, it's
Mm,
okay, teacher. So we need to give the feedback for the last video and the lesson plan on Halas. This is everything, no?
yeah, that's it. Hmm.
Okay.
Right? Okay.
Teacher, so
Yes, Sarah.
you told us that you are going to share this reflection and the lesson plan, and you're going to feedback in order to fix on them for the next video.
If it is
Oh yes.
necessary, I'm going to give you feedback, my opinion about that. Mhm.
So but we have to wait for that before recording it.
Yeah, please, before continuing
Necessarily.
the planning. I prefer. I
Okay.
prefer.
Well, we thank you. We appreciate your like your commitment to do as soon as possible because because as you
But
know
it depends on you as well. If
oh
you
yes
send it
we are
this,
going
if you set
yes
this lesson plan on Sunday midnight, it's going to be very complicated.
this sun oh yes before Sunday.
Better.
Oh Jesus. Okay.
Yeah, because I'm going to devote my Sunday on checking this.
Oh yes.
Correct.
You're going to sacrifice
Imagine,
sacrifice your Sunday. Oh yes.
imagine.
Well, we appreciate that, teacher.
Okay, don't worry.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay,
I will
guys.
try. I will try to send.
Sorry. Okay.
No, no, not.
Okay, guys. So I am going to wait for your documents for this file. I'm going to try to check them all. Fortunately, you are not too many. So next class, see you next class. Okay, I'm going to work on
Okay,
Oh
other
yes.
teacher.
next class.
Teacher,
Teacher, I'm
I have
sorry.
one question
Okay, one per one.
before you leave.
Okay.
Well, we have theoretical in 1 minute,
Yeah.
but I'm trying to access the university and it says that que
Ah,
los servidores están llenos and well, it just loaded again.
You can continue
oh,
here.
No, we can't because there are more people that have to access to the class,
Sure.
and I don't know what happens. I don't know.
teacher, but I could.
No, yeah,
In
but
this
I was
moment,
trying like 5 minutes ago and it wasn't opening.
I am
but in
going to
this
check.
moment, I
No,
am.
yes, it is available
Now,
now.
it is available
Yes.
now. Yes.
It is available now.
By the way, I'm uploading the form. I wish I hope you could give it a look, teacher. So if there's something you could improve to it or something we should keep in mind when we check that form, I like your opinion on it.
Okay, okay, good. Yes, I'm going to check
I
it.
put it on the forum that, but I don't find the form.
The
I don't know. It's
social
just
one.
yes, I was just in
Mhm.
other in
Okay,
theoretical.
because I saw that you upload the other file.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I did.
Okay.
So
Okay,
I'm
thank
uploading
you
it
guys.
now.
Do you have, I
So
don't know, somewhere someone else was about to ask something.
this is the last thing, just to close the same question. Maybe I'm going to ask it again, repeat it. But the thing is, we're going to submit for this Sunday, before Sunday, this planning and the reflection. And during the next week, we have to record the new video
Yeah.
based on the planning that we're going to submit for this Sunday, right?
Yep.
Okay, but before that, before recording it, we must wait for your comments.
Yeah, I hope to do all my comments on Sunday, okay? Or at
Okay,
least on
so
Monday morning.
okay, and the last comments of the last video are already in the platform.
Cesar, you didn't watch that. I spent my
Yes.
Sunday writing.
Yes, I
No, I
have.
didn't. No, I didn't receive it. I didn't receive
Yes,
it,
it is in the
or I haven't checked.
calificación. Enter to calificación, and there is a file attached, and in the attachment is the feedback.
Okay, I'm going to open it because I didn't revise it before. File submissions. Okay, I see it. So, okay, thank you, teacher. And I'm sorry for asking that kind of things.
Don't worry, don't worry.
Yes, I already see it.
You just broke my heart, but don't worry about that. Okay.
No, teacher, silly question. Sorry.
Don't worry
Nothing
about
silly.
that.
I just posted the form if in case if any of you wants to give it a look.
Okay, thank you very much, Luis Carlos. Okay, guys, so I have to close this classroom. See you Next class, if you don't have a class with me in 1 minute, see you next time, okay?
Thank you,
Okay,
teacher.
teacher.
Thank you,
Thank
guys. Have a great night. Bye.
Goodbye.
Same.
Okay,
Bye
bye
bye.
bye.
See you later, alligator.
See ya.